Hi. How's it going? I hope you're doing well. So, happy time zone. Has the time zone changed again? Oh, gee. I hope not. I get so confused. Um, yeah, so there's going to be a little bit more noise happening in the background, I'm sure, because Louie and my sibling have gone camping for the week, and so I have three baby cats at my house. I'm looking after Smita and Simha for the next 5 days. My buns aren't very happy about that, but I'm sure they'll figure out some kind of compromise in cohabiting. Hey there, Fizzy Bear, Just Eric, Ashrant, and Bodhi. Yeah, so I'm back on my YouTube bullshit now that I've finally handed in all my assignments post COVID. And I thought maybe there'd be a. I don't know. I don't know if anyone is interested in seeing sort of like my process. Um, but I will say it's pretty damn boring. At least at the moment, because maybe I'll skip forward a little bit after I've done a few animatics. But let me show you my workspace. It means good afternoon or night because not everyone is in my time zone. Ah, that's clever. Hey there, John Louie. Hey there, PJBM. How's it going? So I'm working on a video that I'm calling Neither Here Nor There, Processing Problematic People. And I think it's going to be, I mean, as well as being a return to making YouTube videos, it's also going to serve as me explaining why I was not making YouTube videos for 2 years, while also hopefully starting a conversation on how nuance is important in understanding how the world works. And particularly when you've been, betrayed by someone or something, like, when, to use a popular example, and one that I do talk about in the video, it's the whole J.K. Rowling situation. Like Harry Potter was such a formative part of so many people's childhoods and even identities. And then to, have her be revealed to be incredibly transphobic and to egg on a lot of, more vitriolic and violent individuals, that's quite upsetting, and it's a lot to process and deal with and to I guess move on from. So I wanted to sort of add my voice and just say, hey, let's forget about them for a second. Let's focus on you. What can we do to sort of get to a place where we can start to heal? Yeah, so that's essentially what the video is. So it's like 200 different things. Oh, geez. Oh, little bumbles. Enticing us with these promises of boring stream content. Yes, I know. Okay, so let me see how to do this. Let's go to display capture. No, that's massive. That's way too big. All right, let's move that underneath the border and see if...
Hello.
Oh, thank you so much for following. Barry Gibb Roma. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're very much appreciated and welcome here on this fine day. Yes. I think that'll do. You can all see my screen, yeah? You'll probably have two different Cav faces. This isn't your main account. Well, feel free to follow me on that one as well. You'll up my follower count by 2, which is, always good. All right, so you've got 15 accounts. Wow, that's pretty impressive. I just got the one. And I've got a bot account as well that I never use. Hey there, Secret Gamer Girl, how's it going? Yeah, well, I mean, I'm thinking of taking on a new batch of foster kittens within the next week, but in the meantime, I've got a little little Bumbly over here, little Beelzebumble, who you probably can't see very well. There's a little bum. Yes, my Bumbly. And also we've got Smita and Simha, who are her siblings, who are under the custody of Louis and my sibling. So I'm cat sitting right now. Because of Cav's tightly edited video about Nuance, Sean's much longer video putting J.K. Rowling on blast seems childish by comparison. I mean, that's what we can hope for, right? That, you know, I show these other chumps how it's done. Yeah, so at the moment my video clocks in at, I mean, I'm going to add a few clips here and there, which sort of back up my points and also have credits, but at the moment it's just under 18 minutes. So I managed to talk about why I've been away for so long, aka PTSD. Talk about how a strategy I learned to deal with the PTSD, introduce how that same strategy could be used to deal with, you know, problematic individuals, give examples of about 5 different individual, like, problematic people who are problematic in different ways. So one of them is, you know, a racist, one of them is involved in Me Too, one of them's a raging transphobe. So yeah, all that in under 18 minutes. So I'm pretty excited. I'm really, yeah, I recorded it today, and now this is the stage where I start to, one of my account's names was Dragon These Nuts. Oh my god. Oh. A whirlwind tour of bastards. That's basically it. So if you haven't seen my videos before, this is essentially the basis for all of them. The reason why I use animatics is because I actually get really nervous and stutter when there's a camera on me. Yeah. So these animatics mean that I can read from my script, so I can feel more comfortable. And also they're kind of cute as well. I was going to ask whether being involved in Me Too was a bad thing, but I assume you mean they were accused of something. Yes, I'm talking about Bill Cosby. So yes, he was accused of something.
Hello there,
Why can't we see the... What? Hold on a second. Oh. Wait, no. Where am I? Sorry, I accidentally closed something a little while ago, and I think program monitor?
FP here.
Ah, there we go. Okay, go away. VTubing since before it was cool. So, can you hear this?
Hello there, CAFP here. Those of you who already know me probably noticed that I took a hiatus of about 2.
I believe this is called a rant sona. I don't know Valorant, no. Okay, you can hear it. Excellent. Wow, my voice is wildly high in this recording. So basically what I have is I've got a collection of animatics that you can see here, which I think are very cute. Let's see if we can make them a little bit bigger. Can I, like, put this up here? Don't know what. Let's just. Can I get rid of this altogether? Go away. No, close. I don't undock panel. Close other panels and. Oh, gee. Hey everyone, I know how to use Adobe Premiere. There we go. I could probably also do something to, like, enlarge thumbnails through, like, a view thing, but I'm not that clever. Artificially lower the pitch. Yeah, so anyway, these are some that basically it started out when I did my video about My Little Pony, the original My Little Pony series, and why it's shit but also the best, which was my debut into sort of doing more video essay sort of content. I made a whole bunch of these, and then out of a template, which is over here, using a bunch of layers. And I find that now, after doing a few like Jim Carrey-thon videos and all that, I've got expressions to do pretty much everything that I want to express. I've got sadness, I've got rage, the whole shebang. Oh, you love the My Little Pony video? I'm so glad. I'm a big fan. I love the Bart voice. I don't have uwu face. Thank you, Ashrand. I'm glad you liked the video as well. I'm feeling very anxious about just getting back into YouTube content as well. Because it's been so long, and as a very highly anxious person who also has a Patreon, it's just felt like, oh gee, these last 2 years I've been letting all the patrons down. Anyone who's ever supported my work, everyone's losing interest and disappointed and all that, which, you know, I know isn't necessarily the case. There are plenty of people who have been supporting me throughout the pandemic, and I'm giving everyone like a special thanks in the credits for this video, because like it's meant so much. But yeah, the fact that I have had an audience has actually made it extra hard to come back, ironically, just because I know it's sort of like a big deal, and I feel like, well, if I produce this content, then I need to commit to making more. What if I can't do that, etc, etc, etc. Ashrand! Have you got double middle fingers flipping people off? No, I've got like a microphone drop.
Hi.
Oh, thanks for following Bodhi_2. Cavsona only has 2 fingers, so middle fingers is hard. Yeah, I've just got a finger and a thumb.
Hi.
Oh, thanks for following Totally Not Bodhi. These are all new people. Like, I'm guessing you're relatives of Bodhi. You've been streaming so much, though. I've gotten my money's worth just from that. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Like, I was streaming every day, every day in the week for a little while there in the early stages of COVID. So I hope you've at least not been missing, you know, Cav content, Cav copyright content. Yes, they do sound like lovely folks, Bodhi_2 in particular. I wonder what the 2 stands for. They sound like nerds. So, maybe as a beginning, why don't I show you what I've got so far? It's just animatics for the first 6 minutes, which makes me a little bit nervous because normally I have a lot more picture content. So what I'm thinking of doing, I might substitute some of the animatics with images that sort of like back up what I'm saying. But at the same time, I'm telling a personal story, so it's not like I'm gonna use photos of my life during a time that I had PTSD. You know what I mean? Anyway, actually, maybe this is a good idea. Like, you can give me some feedback here. The first 6 minutes of the video, are you sort of feeling like space? Are you sort of feeling like the content is dry and could do with something backing it up? All right, well, let's go.
Hello there, Cav P here. Those of you who already know me probably noticed that I took a hiatus of about 2 years from making YouTube videos. Those of you watching this in the future hopefully have had no such shortage of Cav P videos, so this will presumably be surprising to all of you. Just believe me when I say I was gone for a long while. So why was I gone for so long? Well, short answer, global pandemic and ADHD diagnosis aside, I was working through PTSD from what started as the best relationship I ever had and ended up as the most toxic and damaging. Too much information? Bear with me on this one, I promise you it's relevant to this video. Over the period of a year, I was gaslit by someone whom I trusted completely. No, I don't mean they told me I was wrong, so I was gaslit, like too many people on the internet do. I'm talking more about they would agree to or suggest something, and then later on tell me they never agreed to or suggested that thing, and that I'd actually pressured them into thinking it was something they wanted, doing this over a long period of time, to the point where I believed I was losing my grip on reality and couldn't trust my own memories. After realizing that this was something that happened, I tried to mitigate the damage. I mean, nobody wants to hurt the person they care about the most. I'd reassure the person that it was okay to say no, because I genuinely had no strong feelings either way. And it was true, despite my dearth of online opinions, I actually have very few special preferences when it comes to domestic life. If they said yes to something in advance, I'd ask them again the next day if they still felt the same way, again reassuring them that it was actually not a big deal to me and it would be fine if they changed their mind. I'd ask them in the lead up to and during the event, the meal, the TV show, whatever, if they were actually enjoying themselves or if they wanted to do, eat, see something else instead. I'd give them options and ways out wherever I could to try to take the pressure off them. Regardless of my approach, it would still happen relatively frequently. They would insist that everything was great and they were having a great time, and then afterwards ask me why I pressured them. It got to the point where I was preparing a notepad to write down whenever they suggested something or told me my idea was great. Not for an I told you so later, but just simply so I could reassure myself that my memory was sound, that I wasn't imagining this person's enthusiasm for the idea that I had, or that they were the one who suggested something in the first place. As it turns out, one person's debilitating fear of disappointing people made me slowly lose my grip on reality and completely changed the way my brain processes information, even to this day. Yes, I know, boo-hoo. This is going to be relevant later, I assure you. It took me about a year after the breakup to realize I actually had PTSD from my experiences with this person, including experiences from prior to and after our romantic relationship. There was no physical violence involved, and it was very clear that for the most part, the harm that was done to me was not intentional, but a product of their bafflingly low self-esteem. So it was hard to realize why exactly I was so traumatized. Yet somehow I just couldn't move on the way I did after one partner of 5 years started stalking me post-breakup, or after another partner left me stranded in South America with no visa and no ticket back home. Clearly there was something about this one which was still haunting me. The moment when I finally realized I had a problem was when I invited a friend to come with me to a film festival, and they were on the fence, and I told them more information about it, and then after thinking about it, they told me they'd decided to come, upon which point I burst into tears and felt like the biggest piece of shit in the world for pressuring someone yet again to do something they hadn't wanted to do. Only it turns out the person did actually decide to do the thing on their own volition, and I hadn't pressured them. I just convinced them. And those were apparently two completely different concepts. Stay with me, folks. It's coming to a head. The biggest issue that I had coming to terms with what happened to me was the feeling of living two realities, or rather living the same life with two completely different people. There was the person who was laid back and charming, who told me regularly that they'd never been happier, and the person who was cold and emotionless, who said every so often that they'd been unhappy in their relationship for a long time. Each of these people would deny the other's existence, as well as the things that the other person had said. After a day of wondering what I was doing wrong to make this person I cared about so unhappy, they would be in a better mood and tell me that they were just feeling off that day, so I should completely ignore everything I had experienced and heard in the previous communication, because there was absolutely nothing I could or should be doing differently. Even though the happy persona seemed to be in control of this person's body 95% of the time, it was impossible to know who to trust. Which was the one who only told the truth, and which was the one who only told lies? So fast forward to me in therapy with a specialist in relationship issues. After explaining my background to the therapist over a number of sessions, it seemed that she understood where my issues lay. She told me something absolutely, crushingly simple and obvious, but in practice completely mind-blowing. What if these two realities you experienced were actually the same? And what if that's okay? Until then, my way of processing this relationship went something along the following lines. They would talk and act like they were really happy, but then they would also say that they had been immensely unhappy the whole time. My therapist suggested changing the but in that sentence to an and seeing how that changed my perception of the events of my relationship. They would talk and act like they were really happy, and they would also say that they had been immensely unhappy the whole time. All of a sudden, two realities became one. Two people became one person. It seems almost childishly straightforward, but it made room for the complexity of human behavior. One person can be two different ways simultaneously, and it's hard and it hurts so much, but that's who that person is as a whole. They aren't two-faced. That's just how they are, for better or worse. And there's somehow closure in that, because you weren't seeing two sides of the same person after all. You were seeing the complete package the whole time. A fully fleshed out human being, both kind and terrible, complete with tenderness and toxic, destructive character flaws. Those of you who've been fortunate enough to never have been involved in a toxic familial or romantic relationship might be watching this video now in intense bemusement, wondering why any of this was a revelation to me. But you really need to appreciate how cognitive syntax works. There's a grammar to our thoughts, and oftentimes we aren't aware of it. This can lead to contradictions in how we process the things that happen around us, and in turn lead to black and white thinking if we're not careful, for the simple reason that it's easier to process things in black and white. This person is bad. This person is good. Violence is bad. Science is objective, etc., etc. So when someone who we admire or who made, say, a young adult book series that we adore turns out to be engaged in truly horrific behavior, an internal crisis might happen if we don't take a look at how our cognitive grammar is processing the information. I like this book series, but I just found out the author is bad. Am I a bad person for liking this bad person's book series? You see where I'm going with this? I'm not going to be using this video to suggest that we should judge an artwork separate from the artist, or that we should give toxic people who have hurt us a second chance. The last thing I want to do as a survivor is to defend these people who have done or said horrible things, or indeed their body of work. What I am going to do here is to offer this strategy that was useful for me, to help you to process difficult emotions, accept.
Yeah, so that's basically where I am at so far in terms of the animatics. And that's like, I mean, up until this green thing here, like the 9-minute mark where I start talking about Morrissey, it's basically just gonna be my face the whole time. So when you were watching that, like I deliberately played you the whole thing just to see, you know, to make you sit through it. So you can be a test audience and let me know, like, do you feel yourself kind of nodding off and getting distracted and all that? Like, should I be putting some more stuff in there? Should I be like, I mean, what I could do is what I did. I mean, it's going to take a lot more time and be a pain in the arse, but it is possible for me to use the sort of animation technique that I used for my demisexual video where I draw and like record what I'm drawing in real time and sort of like do like a stick figure version of the events. So yeah, what are your thoughts from that so far? Like, I'm not one of those people who will say, oh yes, give me any kind of criticism, and then you say something that's critical and then I get really upset. I'm actually not one of those people, so I respond very well to all kinds of feedback. I think the sorts of pictures that might be helpful are more along the lines of infographics. You were actually only listening and it worked very good that way. That does help, Eric. Thank you. I do agree that having just a face with no text or pictures makes it easy to be distracted, but the only thing I can think of is putting in generic pictures of a cinema and stuff like that, and that's pretty bland too. Yeah, you could have a surprise bun moment as a kind of relief from some of the heavier stuff. Yeah, that's the thing, like, I couldn't think of what I would do outside of drawing stuff, but at the same time, you know, for the privacy of the person involved, I don't really want to do a depiction. I mean, I could just draw a squiggly line for a head when we're talking about the person. But yeah, that's very good feedback. I think I can, I mean, there is a bit where I say and but, and I put my hands up, and I'm going to put and but as text on there. But yeah, it would be good, I think, if there was something besides just my face. This is definitely the longest that it's been just my face without anything else, because the only other video that I did that was sort of like self-reflective was the one where I drew, where I was doing drawing in real time. This is the first time I tried to do it with just animatics, and I think it's probably maybe a little bit too long of just the animatics. You could draw a picture of yourself with the other person from behind. Yeah, that's true. Ah, they're talking about Jonathan's squiggly face. Oh, you like the animation and art? I'm glad. I quite like the art as well. It's very simple, but it does the job. I actually had trouble with it though, because I spent the pandemic stuck in exactly this thing with two different people, and it made it hard to follow for entirely personal readings, right? I can see that too. It seems like a lot of people, I mean, after the pandemic becomes not so much of a thing, we'll probably get to a point where people are opening up about their experiences during the pandemic. A lot of people were caught in bad relationships during that time. I think I've met at least 2 or 3 people who were stuck in like an abusive relationship during the pandemic, but because of lockdown, they couldn't actually escape from it. And I imagine that was quite endemic as well, unfortunately. But yeah, definitely the pandemic has exacerbated a lot of existing issues, not just interpersonally, but even just personally, like for me with my whole ADHD thing, which definitely is related to the lack of videos as well, because it just sent the ADHD into an overload and I couldn't do anything. Yeah, I was thinking about doing like it because if we look at my demisexual video, I use stick figures for that, and the only thing that makes me different is I just draw my hair, my trademark hair. Yeah, so for those of you who haven't read the script, if you're part of the Discord for patrons and Twitch subscribers, if you go into the Script Focus group channel, I've actually got a link to the entire script, which you can read if you're interested to read it before it comes out. But yeah, so that's essentially it, me introducing this concept of what I call cognitive grammar, but which is just the cognitive behavioral therapy technique of reframing. Just for me as a linguist, using the phrase cognitive grammar helped me to be able to make sense of how it worked. And that's how I'm approaching it here. So after I do this sort of introduction about what helped me with get past help me process what happened to me when I was gaslit. I suggest, I use some examples of how maybe this can apply to, say, Morrissey is my first example, who is a real has for a long time been a real counterculture figure. I do a really horrible impression of Morrissey in this section that I kind of want to show you. Stick person with stink lines coming up. Oh yeah, I should, I don't have a command for my Patreon, I'm so sorry. If you just Google Patreon CavP, you can find it. I should make a command for that. Most importantly, how will you fill up the other 2 hours and 42 minutes to reach the 3-hour minimum for YouTube video essay? Oh, I'm just gonna put in some elevator music, I think. I just can't do it. Like, if I try to make content long, it makes me really depressed because there is literally no way that something that's 3 hours long couldn't be shorter and still be effective, if not more effective. You know what I mean? Like, come on. And this is something that I've said to a lot of YouTube creators who are known for making long videos, so I'm not very popular among them. That's just my dearth of online opinions again. I thought what you were saying was really good and clear. You were a bit too apologetic about people staying with you. Maybe you could mention why what you're saying will be useful earlier. There's a thought. What I might do, because I'm too lazy to re-record anything at this point, but I can include it in the description, and I'm hoping that the title, Neither Here Nor There, Processing Problematic People, will also be a bit of a hint as to how it's going to be used. But I think that's a very good point, that it's sort of like saying, hey, bear with me, but I don't explicitly say in the recording why they should be staying with me. Oh, thank you very much, Ravane Crowford, for adding that. Nice. Yeah, so let's see if we can find my Morrissey impression.
Such as I...
Oh, okay. I'm going to get like a little picture of Morrissey looking sad and like do that thing where you make the mouth move to make him sound like he's saying it. Well, make him look like he's saying it, but in a really like shitty looking way.
Writing depressingly awkward lyrics such as, I look at yours, you laugh at mine, and a song literally called I'm Not a Man.
Yeah, sorry. I'm also thinking that the song that I use for the credits, I want it to be the song Lighten Up Morrissey by Sparks, which is how I opened the stream today, which is, yes, it's a copyrighted song, but I don't care about monetizing from YouTube, so Sparks can definitely have my money if I can use a little excerpt in my credits. Is it even possible to find a picture of Morrissey smiling? I don't think so. So Morrissey is the lead singer from The Smiths, which is a British band which is sort of notoriously depressing. Like, all the lyrics are just, and he sings like this, I'm really sad today. Oh, no. You know, like, that's basically The Smiths. You don't need to listen to an album now. I think I've just done their entire discography. But yeah, they've been around since I think the 80s and were really hugely influential in the emo scene, and also a lot of people, particularly misfits, outsiders, people who were part of the counterculture, you know, a lot of Smiths fans among them. Then in 2019, it sort of became a lot more widely broadcast that he was actually a far-right sympathizer who supports, basically wants to keep Britain white. And so now a lot of people are really off Morrissey, as it happens. And he's a transphobe. Wouldn't surprise. Yeah, he's big anti-immigration. Great band, absolute banger songs, absolutely miserable. If you make your YouTube video longer than Return of the King, YouTube should automatically say, are you sure? Like Twitter does when you use harsh language. Oh, wonderful. The Smiths are about how everything is shit, otherwise known as living in England. Oh my god, shots fired. Yeah, I think a lot of people looked up to Morrissey. He's probably... I mean, the reason why I want to use an example, like I'm using old examples at the beginning, like Morrissey, not everyone will have a personal connection. Part of it is because I wanted to show this sort of this outsider look of us looking at an example of how a lot of times when someone is sort of revealed to be shit, if you look back at their past, you can actually see that the signs were always there. Not always the case, and I make that point, but like in the case of like repeated behavior and repeated views, they don't necessarily come out of nowhere. Like with Morrissey, you could have pointed out things from a lot of his career and be like, oh, that's a bit iffy, like the fact that he drapes himself with the Union Jack flag at concerts since the 90s and that sort of thing. But given that a lot of his songs were counterculture, anti-Margaret Thatcher, anti-monarchy, it was, you know, it was very easy to sort of overlook those things as being an honest mistake or, you know, a misunderstanding or misinterpretation. You know what I mean? It's only after he comes out and explicitly says, you know, I want to keep Britain white. That's when everything sort of gelled together for people. Shots fired into my own face. England is shit and I have to live here. Kate Bush is a Tory. You know, I was really sad when I read that, and then I looked into it, and I believe that was actually misinformation. I mean, I could accept if she was. She lives in a castle, you know, like anyone who lives in a castle probably shouldn't be living in a castle. But I think I did a bit of research, and it seemed like there was actually... she was misquoted or something like that, or she clarified, I don't know. But if she's a Tory, then yeah, it's quite possible, and I wouldn't say, how dare you besmirch the good name of Kate Bush. if you were to say that. You know what I mean? Right, Myopic Duck. Yeah, that's what I read as well. Because like once I read that, I was like, oh, good push. Jowling, Cowling, Rowling wrote a series of mean-spirited and not very good books. Well, yeah, I mentioned that in my thing. Like, again, like there's a lot of signs in her books that there are some kind of backwards views in there in this book, which is about freedom. But I think at the same time, it's not necessarily like you can't blame people for seeing something in the, you know, for looking at the things that they liked in the books and not noticing these other things because they were so swept away by these other themes of the magic and all that. So I want to be very in the video I try to be really explicit that it's not about being you don't deserve to be angry at yourself for not seeing these things sooner. The important thing is to forgive yourself and to be able to move on. I actually agree, castles aren't nice for living in, which is why rich people stopped living in castles and built manors instead. I was just thinking the other day, even when they first came out, did anyone actually like books 6 or 7 at all? I didn't like the 7th one because I only liked the wizard school. I thought the wizard school was the fun part. So the moment they stopped going to school, I kind of lost interest. The whole world was ending and I'm just like, but what about potions class? Who's going to win the Hogwarts Cup this year? They stopped doing it. They stopped giving points to Gryffindor and it pissed me off, you know? Be consistent. I correct my previous statement. Some people who aren't living in a mansion, me, should be living in a mansion. Also me. Ah, right. Because rich people stopped living in castles and built manors. Yes. People need to stop calling homes castles if they're just big houses with crenellations and maybe a little tower. Those are just decorated mansions. There you go. Fans are not the problem, JK is, unless they have the same opinions as her. And that's the problem. I think that a lot of fans of JK Rowling who are transphobic or who may not have been transphobic but love JK Rowling's book series so much that they're more likely to believe, you know, to agree with what she says. Like, there's a huge subset of people who are emboldened by the fact that she's so openly anti-trans in the way that she speaks. But yeah, there's also a whole bunch of queer people who, you know, like I met up with a queer person a few months ago who was talking about how they were a Ravenclaw or something like that, and, you know, and they're trans. So everyone is sort of dealing with this whole thing differently. Plenty of people still have their Quidditch sorting hat. What's it called? Your Quidditch school. Your club. Your special club, like Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff. What is it? House? Yeah, house. Your Quidditch. They have their Quidditch house as like in their dating profile, which creeped me out, honestly. But you know, it's a thing. And a lot of them aren't transphobic either, so yeah. I suppose the question is, can you use these signs to tell if someone's wrong before they come out as an absolute shit? My answer to that, I mean, like, my personal opinion is no. It's really difficult to do that. A lot of people, it needs, I mean, and this is why there are still people who will defend people after the fact. It's because, you know, you get into a mindset where this can't be true because I would have noticed, you know? So yeah, it's a difficult one. And I think that's why I want to focus this video on your personal sort of thing. What you do after the fact to heal after this knowledge has hurt you, you know? Book 1 kind of sucks, but hey, kids are reading this 400-page thing. Is it I thought it was just like 100 pages in book 1. Book 2, same. Book 3, book 3 is my favorite. There's time travel, and hey, they're making movies now. Well, someone died, stuff got real. 5, cool trans girl. There's a cool trans girl in 5? Oh, the shapeshifter. Oh yeah, book 6 with the dating was insufferable. Oh yeah, no, I just remembered what book 6 was about. That was the sex one. Well, the sex one in that everyone is randy. I found that very uncomfortable. I remember asking my mom why the goblins had all the banking and nobody non-goblins started a bank, and I had a moment when I realized why my mom wouldn't answer me at the time. The fact that Cav, a noted connoisseur of genocide discussions, did not like the book that was all about genocide just illustrates how absolutely terrible it was. More shots fired. Oh. There's also the centrist Jeremy Krobny is literally Voldemort, and that proves why you should vote Tory. House, yes, sorry, everyone's been saying House, and I didn't see that. Sorry, I'm very behind in the chat right now. I'm just kind of scrolling down. Constant vigilance. Actual schools have houses here if they're old enough. I had a high school house for stuff. Yeah, I did too when I was in school. I just completely forgot the English word for it. Hey there, Dinah Jack, how's it going? We're just watching me make a video, although I've just been sort of looking through people's feedback and all that at the moment. Sex, holding hands. No, but there was so much kissing, it was gross. Especially when she had a reactionary moment, had her marry the gay guy and kill him off as soon as people were picking up on it. They made genocide boring. Cav's scathing Harry Potter critique. Oh my god. Cav getting the 0 out of 5 for responsiveness on the feedback. Oi! That's so rude. After doing my general thing, talking about the PTSD, I use the example of Morrissey, who's sort of been around for a long time, so you can sort of see some of the little signs there. And then I do the same thing with Bill Cosby. Over here, have a little section about Bill Cosby and about how, it was pretty much common knowledge that he abused people. And the only reason why it even blew up in 2014 was because someone happened to record a sketch that a comedian, Hannibal Buress, I think I probably pronounced his surname wrong in my video, now that I think of it. But anyway, he had this comedy routine that he did about Bill Cosby, and he had been doing it for some time, and it just happened to be recorded one day, and then it went viral. But like the whole punchline of the joke, well, not punchline, but the whole crux of the joke was the fact that it was common knowledge already, but that nothing had been done about it. He wasn't trying to start a movement, he wasn't trying to be a feminist icon. He was just doing a comedy bit, like it's just observational comedy, the fact that this old guy has a squeaky clean image and goes around telling other black kids to pull their socks up and things like that when he's like a rapist. You know what I mean? That was his comedy routine. And yeah, so even though it was common knowledge for a really long time that he had abused a bunch of people, it got big in 2014, and then there was a big fallout and people were rushing to defend him and all that, despite the fact it was common knowledge. So I want to talk about that as well. Oh, thank you, Diana Jack. I'm really happy to be working on videos again as well. Buress. Okay, I think I do say Buress. Let me see. Where's Hannibal?
Hello there.
No.
Hello there.
No.
Hello there.
No.
Hello there.
No, hello there. That was terrifying. How do I? Oh no, I've done the thing again. Oh, there we go. Hello there to you, Kat. Similar to Jimmy Savile, I guess, although nobody defended him, I don't think. Yeah, I mean, he was already dead at that point, so I think it was like a lot easier for people to not get hung up about it, you know?
Hello there.
Oh my
Kathy
god,
here.
stop
There's
it! Oh, I was pressing the wrong button, that's why. Okay.
years. The impetus for the flood of accusations
Impetus? Is that... I think it's... I don't think that's how you pronounce that word. Anyway. Who cares?
in 2014 was another male comedian, Hannibal Buress, who was recorded talking about
Okay,
Cosby's
cool.
sex abuse in his comedy routine like it was common knowledge.
Yeah, I'm going to include a bit of that clip, which is very difficult to get a hold of because I think Hannibal himself keeps taking it down on copyright claims. I think he felt very uncomfortable by the attention that the Cosby thing brought him, which is fair enough. Like, he wasn't trying to, you know, be an ally or anything. He was just trying to be funny. Impetus, that's right. Could we have that little mishap as a sound alert, though? Hello there, hello. Impetus, okay. Thank you, everyone. I'm gonna put a little visual gag about the fact that I pronounced that incorrectly into the video. What else have I got? Yeah, so then I talk about Cosby, and then I sort of make the point that these two examples that I gave are...
Egg!
Thank you for redeeming the stream's egg, John Louis. Well done. Credit you. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, so I have a little bit after those two examples saying that it's... I completely lost track of what I was going to say. Oh yeah, those two examples I chose because there's a lot of evidence that this stuff was going on for a long time, but then make the point that it's not always obvious and it can often be conflated with other things. Like, and then I bring up like Michael Jackson. A lot of people will say, okay, well, the reason why he insisted on sleeping with children in his bed was because he never got to have a childhood. He was a victim of child abuse, and so he only felt safe when he was around children. So that's why it's not actually weird and it's not actually pervy. You're just, you know, you just don't understand. You know, like, there was some kind of logic that like, there was some kind of ambiguity there. And so I want to say that it's not always obvious. It's easy for people to make excuses for these things until it's like way too late. And also, yeah, I think I mentioned Churchill. Yeah, I mentioned Winston Churchill, and just say that, you know, people will now excuse him saying that he was a product of his time. He wasn't any more racist than anyone else, but he was more racist than other people of his era. And then for my final example, I talk about J.K. Rowling. And for each of these examples, I sort of show how you can use the cognitive grammar thing to turn the but into an and, which doesn't necessarily make it okay what happened, but it can help you to sort of see those two seemingly contradictory things as like one complex whole. Yeah. They had a discussion if they should exhume Jimmy Savile to take his honorary Green Beret back. Oh, really? I ruined your flow with egg. Would it be hard to record yourself saying that word and then inserting it into the video? Like, technically hard? I mean, yes, because I've already processed the sound, and you need to have the same acoustics. Like, there is one phrase here that I recorded at my desk. The rest of it I recorded downstairs in my bedroom because the kittens were running around upstairs. So, and for me, at least, it's very obvious that that one sentence was recorded upstairs because there's a lot more echo in the acoustics. So I'd be very hesitant for just like the one word. I feel like it'd make it stand out a lot more than it needs to. But yeah, I'll just make a little joke about it in the text on the screen, I think. Having a bad childhood may have been the causal reason for Michael Jackson's behavior, but it doesn't excuse it or make it morally allowable. Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, it's possible that there were many things going on there. You know, the fact that he, well, I mean, it seems pretty apparent that he was also a child abuser, as well as someone who preferred the company of children as friends. Like, it's not like it doesn't have to be one or the other. You know, it can be both, unfortunately. Yeah, so then I talk about J.K. Rowling, and then I sort of like summarize it by saying, I hope this helps. And yeah, Churchill was the chair or the co-chair, I forget, of the first International Eugenics Society. He was much more racist than other English people of his time, and that was saying something. Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. Like, a lot of people will say, oh, well, I mean, maybe he is racist, but you're judging him by today's standards. I think that's a very common thing. You're judging this person by today's standards, and it's not always the case. If we accepted everyone who had a shitty childhood to become a shitty adult, we would have society, as in our current society. Very, very true. Okay, so I'm going to do just a little bit of animatics here, just to show you how my process works. And then I'm going to play some Inscription, because I feel like playing Inscription, because it's a really fun game, and I feel like I've been making some progress. Oh, little Bumbles is sleeping on the desk. It's your little Bumbly. Okay, so where are we?
Chance. The last thing I want to do as a survivor is to defend these people who have done or said horrible things, or indeed their body of work. What I am going to do here is to offer this strategy that was useful for me.
Okay, well, I think I need the determined thing is to... Why can't I... Okay, yes. Is to... So I do this in a very inefficient way, because this image is a little bit bigger than the thing. So I have to, like, when I put it in, I have to go scale to frame size. And I could resize the images so that they all fit, but I'm too lazy, so I just end up being even less efficient.
What I am going to do here is to offer this strategy that was useful for me. Here is to offer this strategy that was useful for me to help you.
There we go. Wait, why am I waving here?
Body of work. What I am going to do here is to offer this strategy that was useful for me.
Yeah, no, I used the wrong image. Used the waving picture. That's incorrect. Yeah, this is Adobe Premiere. Oh, the sun has come for you. Thanks so much for joining, Secret Gamer Girl. I'm too lazy, so I do this other thing. ADHD. Yeah, that's how I understand it now.
What I am going to do here is to offer this strategy that was useful for me to help you to process difficult emotions, accept the inherent complexity of things, and get to a point where you can heal.
Okay, get to a point where you can heal. Is there any other thing that I could put here? Like another happy one? Get to a point where you can heal. No, that's fine. Okay, what's next?
Maybe this strategy could be useful for you as well.
What am I going to put there? Because I want to change the face, but I've only got... Maybe this... Oh, I think... Yes, okay, now I can put in the wave. Or... Yes. There we go. So this is basically my work process here.
Maybe this strategy could be...
No, that's shit. You'd be surprised just how much work goes into choosing the correct expression. Like, I feel like this face is a little bit too excited, maybe when I'm talking about a strategy to deal with trauma, you know what I mean? And I don't want to make a new one. Maybe? Nah. That's a giggle. Maybe the strategy could be... Maybe we can do this one. That's the face of barely contained bloodlust.
Maybe this strategy could be useful for you as well. There is often a trauma...
Yeah, let's do that. There is often... Yeah, no. I'm not going to put that one for... There is often trauma.
As well. There is often a trauma that comes with...
Okay, so that one can be this one. You know, have you noticed that there's a lot of like grumpy looking ones? The reason for that is it's left over from the My Little Pony video where I was making my character really surly for like most of the video. I hope this helps you as well, wink wink. Yeah, like it's not the best, but I can't be bothered making a new one. And all the other ones are too excited.
Well, there is often a trauma that comes with finding out that something or someone you have admired or respected has been responsible for something horrible.
For something horrible will change. Let's make it confused. I mean, it doesn't actually indicate confused. It's just what I named it at the time because when I was drawing it, I wanted to show the expression of confused. It just happens to work in a variety of settings.
Responsible for something horrible. Because if it's true, it can feel...
There we go.
Because if it's true...
Oh,
because...
This is a bit more natural, I think. Move it down there. You see, like, no one cares about this. I'm literally the only one who gives a shit about the timing of these animatics. So painstaking.
Something horrible. Because if it's true, it can feel like a betrayal.
And, like, I go through before the end, and I just, like, this is just the rough placing of the animatics. So before I upload the video or export it or whatever, I go through and I fine-tune it so that way it mimics to me what's more natural when it comes to facial expressions and speech. And no one cares. They are really expressive. Thank you, John Louis. I like the sad one a lot. It works so perfectly for concerned. Yes, I've got two ones in that series, which I like because there's one where I'm looking at the person and one where I'm looking away. So I can like, I mean, you can see the utility here if I'm just like looking back and forth. Anyway. Oh, hey, Smeeta, don't destroy my furniture. Smeeta, you terrible baby. You're a horrible kitten. You should be ashamed. She's eating her own tail now. Okay.
Responsible for something horrible. Because if it's true, it can... Because... Because if it's true, it can feel like a betrayal. Not just a betrayal of the thing or the person.
Not just a betrayal. Okay, let's do this one. Do all three kittens sleep together? So far, no. Like, Bumbles is currently resting on my desk. Smeeta is sleeping on Bumbles' bed, and Simha spends a lot of his time on a chair that's pushed into the dining table. They haven't slept together, like they haven't had a night together since they were separated as little baby cats. Yes, Smeeta and Simha, the Beelzebumble's brother and sister are over for the next few days. I'm cat sitting.
Because if it's true, it can feel like a betrayal. Not just a betrayal of the thing or the person against you, but a betrayal of your...
And then we'll change it there. Betrayal of your... There we go.
the betrayal of your own mind or understanding of reality. You often can't just feel a completely
Okay, you often can't just feel a completely different way. Let's go back to the concerned one. Yes, that's good. Lots of concern in this video. Bumble is like, oh, family meetings. Oh, she loves family meetings. Smita is the one who actually Smita. Smita seems to get really annoyed by Beelzebumble because Beelzebumble is so happy to see them both and just wants to play all the time. They're very surly.
reality. You often can't just feel a completely different way about that thing or person in the blink of an eye, even though there may be external and internal pressure to do so. There's
There we go, exasperated.
an eye, even though there may be external and internal pressure to do so.
Do I want to do a different face for and intern? Who's that making? Is that Simha making a weird noise? Yeah, I think Simha is trying to get people to come down and pay attention to him. Oh my god.
Even though there may be external and internal pressure to do so.
And internal?
External and internal.
Does that work? Let's have a look.
Though there may be external and internal pressure to do so. Even though there may be external and internal pressure to do so.
That face isn't right. Ah, okay. Okay, let's try this. Let's try the looking away one.
Even though there may be external and internal pressure to do so.
It doesn't really have the same kind of oomph. I feel like I need a bit more oomph.
Be external and internal pressure to do so.
Like, I feel like I need like a shame one, because if we're talking about internal pressure, like shame is a big part of that. What about this? That kind of looks shameful. The one that I call cringe. Head in your hands, can those work as shame? Yeah, let's...
External and internal pressure to do so. There's attachment there.
That'll do, that'll do. I mean, I can change these later on. They're not set in stone now. Okay.
There's attachment there.
Now this one. And then I can look forward.
There's attachment there.
And then emotional attachment. We'll be looking at the thing. By the way, let me know, is this entertaining?
There's attachment there. Emotional attachment.
That pause is way too long. Okay, let me... How do I... Oh, I completely forgot. Okay, there's attachment there. There. The video you're working on or this stream? I mean, both, really. Is this an interesting stream to be watching? Let's go with that. There's attachment there. That's not my favorite line.
Do so. There's attachment there. Emotional attachment. In this fight or flight moment of betrayal, it's
not as fun as Outer Wilds. Funny that. 20 people seem to watch. The video is good. The editing is also a good stream. That's good to know. Okay, yeah, I figured that might be interesting for some people just to see the sort of process going on there.
In this fight or flight moment of betrayal, it's very tempting to think about things in absolute terms.
Sorry. Yes, I also do that when there's no audience watching, and I laugh out loud. It's very easy. Oh, hey there, Louie. How's it going? The kitties are being well behaved. And I've given the buns their medicine. Well, I gave Jigglypuff his medicine, and he ate it all up, and Billyweed was really excited and wanted some medicine too. Is there some sort of flying into the sun animation we can play at random? You know, spice it up a bit. I should make something like that.
Betrayal. It's very tempting to think about things in absolute terms.
Absolute terms. Okay. I am so close to talking about Morrissey. How about we look for a sad Morrissey picture? That seems like it might be a fun use of our time here today. Okay. Oops. Oh, I already started looking that up. Okay. Why is Morrissey so sad? You mean a Morrissey picture? Yes. I thought I saw one that was going to be... Yeah, like... No, not that one, because there's a line in it. Oh, where was the one that I saw before? Oh, this one. What do you think about this one? How's that? Like, the thing is, it's not iconic Morrissey. Iconic Morrissey is the young Morrissey, I think. But also, if we're looking at lyrics... Oh, no. Because there's one section where I'm going to do an impression of him, well, like, his lyrics. I look at yours, you laugh at mine. And then there's another one where I'm actually doing a Morrissey impression as he talks about how he dislikes Pakistani people. So holding a microphone wouldn't work. And I want to use the same image. So let's go for just like a standing around looking sad sort of thing. Computer, can I get a printout of Morrissey smiling? Only ever old scrotum looking Morrissey. I've literally never seen young Morrissey. Oh, I see. Morrissey sad. Today's headline in Totally Normal Searches magazine. He almost looks like he could be smiling there. Why do Robert Smith and Stephen Morrissey dislike each other? But they're in photos together. Ooh, the story of the war of insults. I know Italian now, apparently. He's not sad enough. How Morrissey ruined Thanksgiving. How's this? I'm getting distracted. No, I'm not. This is research. So we've got that one as an option. I'm gonna have to like Photoshop his face and like just cut out that lip or something. Or I'll just have to do a little box opening. I don't know how I'm even gonna do this. I hadn't even thought that far ahead. All I know is I want that visual of like making him talk, but very obviously him not talk. What about not this one. I look at yours, you laugh at mine. Morrissey pogging. Doesn't really work, does it? Can you do a character of him? No, that's too much work. I'm trying to make this ease back into YouTube videos as simple as possible. I'm sure I can figure this one out. I think it should be okay. Neither of these look like iconic Morrissey is the problem. Like, that looks like iconic Morrissey. That looks like iconic Morrissey. It's the young face that I think people will recognize, like the black and white Smiths covers. Oh, look, he's smiling.
And I'm not happy, and I'm not sad.
Oh! Ooh, if there's a large version of that one, can I like search image with Google Lens? Oh, I can buy a suit with Morrissey. No! I don't want to find the image source. I have one that's somewhat decent. Should I post a link here? Oh, send it to me here. Daffodils in the back pocket, Morrissey. Where's Daffodils in the back pocket, Morrissey? I may have scrolled past it. Where are the daffodils? There's some. Those aren't daffodils. Irish Central. Let's have a look. He looks like he's about to cry. He looks very alt-right in that image. I didn't realize that was a look. Okay, I'll get one more. Like, this is very much the iconic album cover Morrissey, which might be good because that means that he'll be more recognizable. So, oh, I don't know if you can see, but Bumbles and Simha, like Simha is in the pram, and Bumbles is trying to attack him in the pram. This is good content. Just hold on, let me. You done, little Bumbles? Hmm? The black and white ones, it's a matter of some problem for archivists because Morrissey says one half the pictures. Oh. They gone? What you doing, Bumbly? Oh. Oh. Simha. You like your little pram? Oh, what a good baby you are. Okay, anyway. It's a universal law that cats doing a weird thing will stop doing it the moment a camera's turned on. Okay, so I think we got some images, some options. We got that one, that that's too small, so no, not that one, and that one. Excellent, lovely, thank you. Good teamwork, everyone. They are getting big. They're like cat-sized now, but they still act like babies because they are little babies. Hmm? Aren't you? Aren't you, Bumbly? All right. So we've got the Morrissey pictures. What else do we need? Oh, jeez. You want to hear my Morrissey impression?
I don't hate
Oh, here we go.
I don't hate Pakistanis, but I dislike them immensely.
But it's not.
Stuart Lee makes jokes that he looks like a crumpled Morrissey, so it might be funny to use a picture of Stuart Lee to play the role of Grumpy Morrissey. That's such a good That's such a great gag. That's funny. Stuart Lee. I'll look up Morrissey and see if there's like a comparison thing. How to. He does a bit. He does look a little bit like a. That would be. That would be so funny. I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't do that. That's silly of me. But it is very meta. Yeah. Let me have a think about. The thing is, right, it would make a lot of people write in the comments, that's not Morrissey, that's Stuart Lee, the comedian. And the more comments you write, the more the algorithm likes my video. Engagement, that's exactly right, Fizzy Bear. Morrissey, Sean Link, the Cav impressions tell the truth. You could flash up several pictures of Morrissey and stick one Stuart Lee in there. Yes, because I'm going to, when I'm talking about Morrissey, I'm going to show several pictures. Sorry, I opened up Discord. Yeah, I'm gonna, when I introduce him, let's have a listen.
Murray is just afraid.
Whoops.
The term cognitive grammar is just a phrasing that really worked for me in this specific situation to understand what was going on.
I was so worried. I heard jingling and I thought the jingling was in the recording. There's actually a few bumps in this recording, and that's because the kittens are jumping on the ceiling of the room that I'm in. But I'm hoping no one will notice those.
Situation to understand what was going on. Shall we go through an example of this? I'm sure you wouldn't have to go far back to come across someone you've had respect for, either in your past or as a public figure.
That's actually, sorry, when I think about it, that is something that I've done before. In my Jordan Peterson, what was it? Rainbow Connection video that I made, I put, I snuck in an image of Daniel Day-Lewis in there. So it is a gag that I have done before, but it's a fun gag. I like it. And this is a great opportunity to do that same gag again. It's so fun to troll right-wing people.
Had respect for, either in your past or as a public figure who has been exposed as deceitful or let you down in some way. Still, you might prefer to have this contextualized a little more.
That's true. A classic Cav troll opportunity, being able to correct the people trying to correct me and saying, no, it is Morrissey. I checked the sources.
Let's break it down with the case of Morrissey, lead singer of The Smiths and former counterculture icon, current far-right sympathizer. Writing depressingly awkward lyrics such as, I look at yours, you laugh at mine, and a song literally called I'm Not a Man. Morrissey is almost the last person you think would be passionate about a movement almost synonymous with toxic masculinity.
Yeah, there is plenty of space for me to be putting those images in there, as well as like newspaper articles of some of his more inflammatory statements. He has said some atrocious things in the last few years. I mean, I want to talk about some of the stuff from earlier on, but the moment he went mask off in 2019, he has said that Adolf Hitler was left-wing, amongst other gems, I guess you could call them. We're about to make this video a lot worse, and I love it. Well, I mean, I'm always looking for opportunities to make my videos worse. Cav's chat is certainly the second worst video collaborator you could imagine, right after Cav himself, of course. Well, that's the thing. That is my sense of humor. I'm very much about just opportunities to make things worse. What else do I need that would be special? So I have the images of Morrissey. And for the Bill Cosby thing, I'm going to need to have like screenshots of the news articles, which I've already got links for those somewhere, the articles I want to use. And I need to source a little bit of the Hannibal Buress video that went viral. I also need to have an image of J.K. Rowling for the thumbnail, because obviously that's going to bring in the clicks as well, right? This is like the one cynical concession that I will make by having my video thumbnail of processing problematic people have an image of J.K. Rowling's face on the thumbnail. That's as far as I'll go. I will not make my video longer or shorter for the algorithm. I will not produce content that is marketable just for the sake of being marketable. I will not compromise my brand in any way, but I will do this one clickbaity thing, I think. But which image? Oh, sorry, I should have put a content warning. I know some of you might be uncomfortable with, even seeing her visage. I should have mentioned beforehand. Rupert Grint likens J.K. Rowling to an aunt. Doesn't agree with all she says. Interesting. Wait, J.K. Rowling hits back at Putin. Which image would work for here? If you want to make extra sure, just put a little joke like, and go and laugh at the people in the comments who don't think I know who Stuart Lee is and didn't wait to the end of the video to write to tell me. Double engagement. No, I would never give away the fact that I actually know what I'm doing. That's the thing, though. Like, I do a lot of meta humor, but it tends to go over people's heads because I'm AFAB. It's something that I've noticed, and I've complained about this a lot. And Sean always dismisses me when I say that and says that it's just because I'm not funny. But I know he's joking. I'm pretty sure. I'm sure he gets it. Okay. What will be like I need an image that's recognizable J.K. Rowling. But which isn't too distracting. Like, I think I want to have like for the thumbnail, the name processing problematic people, like in text over the top. So it'll need to be like a sort of relatively close up portrait. I can see the clickbait potential in having her picture in there, but another idea would be to have some Harry Potter trilogy thingy, like a drawing of Hogwarts be a stand-in. That's true, although I feel like copyright would be more of an issue if there was a drawing of Hogwarts. I mean, all these images are copyright as well, obviously, but seems like there'd be less bother. But what happens if I look up? There we go. Hogwarts. It's a little bit, like it could be any castle. You know what I mean? You need to... I think J.K. Rowling might be the better one. Just in terms of like the easy recognition, because she has got a very distinctive face, I think. I'm pretty sure the joke I suggested is the one Sean did, so sorry for the bad, unfunny suggestion. Yes, you should be ashamed of yourself. Sean doesn't have any jokes. That? Because that's a close-up of the face. And it's landscape. Images may be subject to copyright, yes. Of course they are. That might work. We'll get a few potential images Oh, Daniel Radcliffe responds to J.K. Rowling's tweets about gender identity. A picture of a warthog, maybe? Or maybe that's too esoteric. I think you can search by public domain or something like that. Yes, let's... The thing is, a lot of the time it isn't actually public domain, or... I don't know. I've had a lot of issues searching for these things in the past, and also all these photos are garbage. Let's go back to the copyrighted ones. This would be a good image if it were a big old landscape. Oh, wait. Is this large? Yeah, because I could crop this. Like that. That photo is really ugly and pixelated. I only say this because I'm mortally allergic to clickbait thumbnails, even to videos where I know exactly what to expect. I just hate the concept so much. Yeah, I know what you mean. This is my first time doing such a thing. CCO will be fine. Her hair and a picture of the goblins or something. Oh, sorry. Slams trolls for leaking her very publicly available address after transgender row. I'll get one. I mean, this image could work. I'll think on it, you know? This image is a little blurry, isn't it? I don't want to search with Google Lens. I just want to, like, find other related images. Find me similar images to this. Find image source, maybe? All sizes. Oh, that was the ugly version, wasn't it? Yeah, why does it look like that? It looks fine there. Wow, the Australian just has the one image. You have a perfect record of not using clickbait thumbnails, which I'm sure is totally unrelated to your full-time YouTuber career not yet taking off. That and the wholly inadequate length of videos. Yeah, you know me. The image is really gross looking. Why? Maybe it's just a yucky photo. She really loves that smug villain from a dystopian film facial expression. You can also try using the search engine at creativecommons.org. Oh, thank you. A lot of other people use JK as a thumbnail, make her eyes glow red. Oh my god. I'm not gonna do that. Like, the whole point of my video is that, like, there's nuance. You know, like, she is a pretty hateful person, but, like, you know, like, it's so off to me to think of people as monsters, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it doesn't do, it kind of dismisses accountability, you know? It's like, if someone's a monster, they don't need to be accountable for their actions because they're just a monster. But, like, she's not. She's a human being, and as such, she's made choices which have led to a lot of people being hurt, and, like, that's bad, you know? Like, she's not, you know what I mean? I don't know if that's probably an unpopular opinion, but I just get really uncomfortable about you know, this sort of super villain, cartoon super villain sort of I don't know, interpretation of real human beings who are complexly nuanced and shit in very human ways that can be dealt with. You know what I mean? Then again, you know, like I got really annoyed when people were, even before all the J.K. Rowling stuff went down, when people were talking about the government, like, oh no, Trump is like Voldemort and Hillary Clinton is like Dumbledore. Like, that's just such a overly simplistic way of looking at the world. I don't know, I feel like accountability only works if they're not just going to look you in the face and say, oh, yeah. No, I completely get it. I think that people are very entitled to feel upset and angry. I just feel like, I just find it difficult to reduce people to caricatures of who they are. Because I don't feel like it's... I mean, like, actually, that's the whole point of my video. The point of my video is that I can't, if I think of this person as a monster, I can't move on, you know? In the case of me having been gaslit, and suffering, you know, PTSD, and also probably having an ongoing anxious tic as a result of having been gaslit. Like, I can't really undo the damage that's been done to me here. So... like, what can I do with that? That's terrible. All I can do is try to understand it, you know what I mean? And, I mean, maybe once the video is out, my perspective will be put forward a lot more eloquently. But, yeah, I just feel like for the purpose of healing, I can't heal if it's just, you know, this unexplainable, horrendous atrocity that happened to me. And it's not about oversimplifying it. It's about seeing the complexity of what happened to me and being like, okay, so that happened and that also happened. And both those things were true. And ultimately it led to, you know, me having PTSD and that kind of stuff. Okay, I understand that. I can move on now, you know? Some people are just like, that was useful for me in coming to terms with that kind of thing. That's definitely something that I think could be useful for some people. For my specific instance, it sadly wasn't. But it was a variation of that. It was like okay, this person who hurt me wasn't two different people. They were one person who, as you would say, is just like that. That's just how they are. They will 95% of the time say one thing and then 5% say a completely different thing and insist that, you know, when they're saying the 5% of shitty stuff, that 95% was a lie. And then when it's the 95% of like good stuff, they'll be insisting that the 5%, no, don't worry about that. Like that wasn't true. I was just having a bad mood. But yeah, they were just like that. That's just the way they were. So I guess maybe it is actually the same thing now that you mention it, just kind of phrased a bit differently. You mean you don't like how everyone is put into one camp or the other and that humans are complex and messy? I don't know. Like people that aren't real racists because they don't use slurs or violence. Yeah, that's exactly it. Like I feel like, and when we look at J.K. Rowling, I was talking to my friend about this the other day. Like, I mean, she's not necessarily who some people would consider to be a classic transphobic person or TERF. Because her specific, you know, like she insists that she believes that trans women are women, but they're not biological women, according to her. You know what I mean? Like the way that she sees herself, I accept trans people, but I accept them as a separate biological category. You know what I mean? Which is still transphobic, and it's still very toxic, and it's not productive, and also scientifically inaccurate. You know what I mean? But like, that's her specific brand of transphobia, and it's not the same as the transphobic person who is like transness is a mental illness. You know, like it's all part of the same camp, but there are differences there. Like there are nuances in the different ways that people are like that, but it's all transphobia. Give her horns at least work with me. Give her frowny eyebrows. Oh my goodness. Sorry, I'm just catching up with the chat here. If you don't want to feature any of the yucky people, Morrissey, Bill Cosby, JK, you could always use a generic stick figure and simply write their name on their face. That's true, actually. What I might do is put like in the description, like a content warning, and say that there are going to be photographic depictions of these people, because, you know, I understand and respect that for some people, especially, you know, who, I think especially in the case of J.K. Rowling, there are many people who really feel, you know, like they relive trauma when they see her face because of just the impact that it had being revealed that she was transphobic. You know, when that was, they had built a lot of their entire identity around the Harry Potter franchise, for better or worse. Intellectualizing and sorting it out is a process of letting yourself feel things and also understanding why that happened. Can you animate? Yeah. That's the thing. Like it was, for me, it was ultimately unproductive for me to think of what happened to me in terms of, it was like I was in a relationship with two different people. I felt like I was living two separate realities. Like that's how I experienced it. It felt like, you know, I'd be living in one world, and then the other world was just so different and in contrast with the first world that it was like this isn't the same reality that I'm having. Like this isn't the same person. They're acting completely different. They've gone from being like smiley and relaxed and fun and funny to like being really cold and emotionless and just really cruel as well, like just saying really mean things. And it's like, how? And you know, like each aspect of that person would deny that the other stuff was happening. You know, like when this person was in a good mood, which was most of the time, and I was like, hey, by the way, yesterday you said A, B, and C, and I'm kind of concerned. Like, if there's something, if there's something that's bothering you, you can always talk to me. Like, I really want to do better, and blah blah blah. And they say, oh no, it's nothing. It's like that wasn't. I was just in a mood that wasn't actually. That's not actually what I believe. I'm actually feeling the exact opposite. Yeah, oh god, it was a trip. But yeah, it also made it very difficult for me to process because it did feel like two different realities. And it was only through the conscientious sort of like act of being like, okay, both these things were in the same universe. That's just how that person was. Like, it wasn't about me. It was about that person and the way that they were acting and the things that they said at different times, which were probably all true simultaneously. Which seems like it makes it more complicated, but it actually just helped me to sort of see it as a whole, you know, as opposed to it being completely, you know, like I could only see 50% of the painting at any one time, and then I look over here and I can't see the other 50%. It was something that helped me to sort of step back and see it as a whole thing and be like, oh, okay, that's what it was, you know? Can you animate the pen strokes for you drawing like horns, silly glasses, etc.? I can do that. I can do similar to what I did for the demisexual video where I record my pen as I draw. So that's definitely an option if that's where I go. There are a lot of transphobic butts around her, and in her speech that can be true without her being transphobic. She's just a linchpin of UK transphobia, which she does as one of the richest person in the world, but she's not all bad. Yeah, like that's the thing. Like, and how I contextualize it in the like cognitive grammar thing is, I think, let me just bring up my script here. Maybe this will make a bit more sense. So the cognitive framing that I do for this is, okay. J.K. Rowling, because like my whole thing is that rather than saying this happened, you know, I love this book series, but the author is bad. It's about exchanging that word, like the exchanging but for and, so that way you can accept both things as being true and not contradictory. So the reframing that I put is J.K. Rowling wrote an immensely popular book series about a social misfit which thematically appealed to many queer and trans folk, and has a staunchly outdated bioessentialist position on transness which is incompatible with modern scientific consensus, and which emboldens transphobic people of all persuasions to do harm to trans people. Hello? What you doing, Smita? So, yeah, I try to include the fact that even if she herself is not like the worst possible transphobe in the world, her particular position as someone who's, you know, an icon means that her opinion emboldens a lot of people who are worse, who are like, well, J.K. Rowling agrees with me, therefore I can go stalk trans people all I like, you know? I nearly had a psychotic break when I was dealing with this myself. It's really hard to deal with it when you're seemingly seeing two versions of a person. I'm so sorry that you dealt with that as well, Ashran. That's like, yeah, like, sorry, I'm getting slightly emotional because like I'm so sad to hear that that's happened to you as well. Like, it's one of the hardest things that I've ever had to deal with in my life. And it was basically, I feel like I had a psychotic break. And yeah, and it took me a whole year to realize that that's what happened. And that I had PTSD and that I needed therapy and all that. So, and like, I wouldn't wish that experience on my worst enemies. So to hear that it happened to you as well is, that's really shit. I really hope that this is, I don't know, maybe if my video comes out sharing that story about my experience will also help other people to come to those sorts of realizations and to be able to, you know, process that as well, because it took me such a long time to get to a point. I mean, like I say, I'm probably going to have anxious tics about having been gaslit for such a long period of time for the rest of my life. But yeah, I can only hope that, you know, the more people know about this sort of thing, the less it happens or the less of an impact it has on people. It's just such a horrible, you know, like, I think the worst thing about it for me was that I was in a really, really good, I don't know about you, Ashran, but I was in a really, really good place in my life where I was like, okay, I've had enough relationships and I know how to communicate really well and I know how to do this and I know how to do that. And I think I'll be really good in a relationship. And I feel like I was probably the best me at that point in time. And I was like, well, nothing bad's gonna happen. But having been gaslit and all that, despite the fact that I was communicating as well as I could in that situation, it sort of, you know, breaks you down. And as someone who was feeling really positively about themselves, who then ends up like a husk of who they were, that's not fun. It's not fun to sort of come out of something and think, oh wow, I have left this relationship objectively worse than when I went into it. I'm just fortunate that, you know, it hasn't completely destroyed me. And I think the fact that I've already had a lot of therapy and I'm already quite emotionally mature is what has kept me alive this whole time, which, you know, I'm pretty proud of personally. I think an important thing to note about Rowling is that she doesn't simply see trans women as a separate category, but a lesser category. It's clearly implicit in biological women that other categories of women would be lower. It is clear parallels to the hierarchy of races of 19th century scientific racism. Sorry, I'm just giving Smita a little pat as well. A bit late, just reply addition to you mentioning Rowling accepting trans women as women in a separate category. Yeah, no, Dumby, I think you're absolutely correct there. Like, I only mention her accepting trans women as women because that's what she says, and a lot of transphobic people don't, you know? But yes, I completely agree. There's a hierarchy there, like an implicit hierarchy, and it kind of counters any sort of statement she's making about how, oh no, I'm not actually transphobic. I just think that they're, you know, lesser and don't deserve medical treatment that's gender affirming, or yes. Isn't that right, Smita? She looking at baby. Yes. Anyway, I think that's probably what I'll do in terms of my video, like all I'll do in terms of my video today, but I do want to play some Inscryption, so I might get on with that now. Let me close Premiere so that we've got some CPU power. Oh, such a proud kitten you are. Who's my proud little Smita? Eh? Proud little Smita. Look at that face. Okay, alright, so opening up Steam, and I will change the, oh, you're following my little mouse. Wee. Oh, look at her tilting her head to the side and wiggling the mouse around for her. I was closeted to myself until I left my own relationship. You feel like you're at your best and they want you to think so. That's also true. She looks like the guy from the Sparks. She does. What a clever kitten. Can you play the keyboard? Now she's looking at her little face. You like your face? You like your face, little baby kitten? Okay. Cav P plays Inscryption poorly. But yeah, thank you all again for sticking with me as I go through this video. It was a bit of a different stream from what I would normally do, but I don't know, maybe I'll do a little bit more of that in the future and just sort of talk more about the video process and all that. And a reminder to anyone who's interested to read the script, who's on my Discord server for patrons and subscribers, if you go to the script focus group channel, I've got a link to the script, so you're very, very welcome to read through the whole script while the video is still being made. So there. Okay, so now let's... Oh, you're such a beautiful baby. You're my beautiful baby kitten.
Yes, I am a beautiful baby kitten.
Sorry, she's looking at me now like, what the hell was that? What was that shit?